Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be starting up our new series that I call The Pillars of Health. I'm really excited for this series. I think it's going to be a great resource for a lot of you guys and how we can improve our health just by doing the basic things. Alright, so we have the 5 pillars: diet, exercise, sleep, mental health, and optimizing our environment. I could start anywhere. I'm not going in any particular order. I could make an argument for all of them that they're the most important, but I am going to start with optimizing our environment just because I think that's the most fun talk. In addition to that, I also think it's really important to see what can we take away. You know, we're always looking into what's the next thing, what can we add, what's the health hack that we can do that's going to put me over. But what can we take away? What are we doing that's bad? You know, maybe, especially in this case for environment, it's something that we're exposed to every day that's, you know, probably harming our health. How do we fix that? So I use the analogy, if I'm on a boat and that boat's taking on water, I'm going to go find the leak, I'm going to get the water out before I go put it on a shiny new propeller. And that's the idea that I want to apply here. So to get started with the environment, we're going to start at the bottom of the pyramid. And I want to start that off by checking for mold. Mold is something I don't think a lot of people think of, but we should. It's extremely harmful. It's extremely common. The last source I saw, I think, estimated around 40% of buildings in the United States have some sort of water damage and are susceptible to mold. That's a huge deal. And if we can take away that, then we can have a lot of positive results with our health. The other thing about mold that can be pretty tricky is that it can be hidden. It doesn't always have to be black mold. It's not always obvious. It can be behind walls. So what do we need to be looking for? You need to be looking for areas that are dark, damp, moist. This is where mold likes to grow. It loves to feed on things like drywall. So areas like where the HVAC is, bathrooms, under sinks, basements, spots where previous leaks were. These are areas that you need to be checking out to see if you do have any signs of water damage. So if there's a musty smell to it, that's another thing that could tip your hat to, okay, maybe I need to test this spot. So not only is mold really common, it's also really harmful. As a practitioner, it's something that I definitely like to screen for just because I know how important it is. It can make people so sick, and it's kind of a pain to deal with, but it's hard to find. A lot of people don't know that they have mold issues. Now, on the other side of things, mold is something that as a practitioner, I hate to see because I know how harmful it is. Not a lot of people think that they have it. It's kind of hard to test for. And symptomatically, it's not very distinct from other things. It overlaps with a lot of other issues. So common symptoms that you can see have to do with weight gain, fatigue, a lot of neurological issues like brain fog, concentration and memory issues. You can also get respiratory issues, skin issues, and you know, that doesn't always like blare mold to me. That can overlap with a lot of different things. For the people that have been exposed to mold and that are also maybe more susceptible to mold illness or sensitive is what I should say, they typically, if they're diagnosed correctly, will get diagnosed with chronic inflammatory response syndrome. If you followed me for a while, you know that a lot of my goal with functional medicine is to lower inflammation as much as possible, find the source, get rid of that source of inflammation, because inflammation is associated with a lot of different chronic diseases. The other difficult thing with mold is that it often attacks your immune system and compounds with other things like chronic viruses, and it can also harm your gut. So there's a lot of bad things that we have to sort out, but the first thing we need to do is get rid of the source of mold and remove ourselves from that exposure. So what's the game plan here for mold? Step number 1 has to be a check for mold. If you find it, remove yourself from that source, remove yourself from that environment, remediate it, do what you need to do. A lot of people are going to improve once they just remove themselves from that environment. But I do think it is wise to be mindful, go through, check yourself for the different symptoms that might line up with mold exposure. There are even some pretty interesting tests that we can do to see if maybe mold is at play. Mold will affect your vision, so there's actually a vision test that's fairly accurate in determining if mold is something you might be sick from. I'll link that test below. We do also have blood tests if you want to check for mold exposure. They are just pretty darn expensive, and I think some of our other tools can be more helpful in determining our risk in that. So step 3, let's say you do have mold exposure, let's say you do feel sick, you need to find a practitioner. I recommend that follows a shoemaker protocol. I'll link that down below as well. Somebody that can help you sort through all the junk that comes along with mold exposure. Like I said, destroys your gut, can create biofilms that make your body sick and not able to absorb things. There's so many different things that mold affects. And again, if you've been following me for a while, you know how important your gut is to the rest of your body. So I do encourage you guys, if you do have some sort of mold illness, seek a practitioner that's trained or follows a shoemaker protocol that can guide you through in order to get you the help that you need. Last thing I want to touch on here are just the resources that I left below. So the first one is an at-home testing company that's very accurate through Got Mold. The next one is Yes We Inspect, and they help people inspect their own homes, know what to inspect or expect when they're looking for things, and then they guide you through that process. So let's say you do find mold, what's next? Are you in an apartment? What's the legality of that, and can you get out of that environment? And then lastly is just survivingmold.com, and that can help you to find a practitioner, one that is trained in the shoemaker protocol, gives you a bunch of good resources and how to heal yourself. And that will conclude this first video. I plan on releasing another video. If you already saw the pyramid, the next one's going to be about water. How do we make sure that we have clean water? What can we do to get clean water? What are some good resources to figure out where I am on that scale? So I hope to see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, share it with somebody else that you think could benefit. I appreciate you guys.